Morning. Top Gun here. Saturday, January 30th, 3:35 a.m. This is the world according to Top Gun. It usually begins with Ayn Rand. So as a young man, I was not at all interested in books, ideas. I was not a good student. I was a jock. I played tennis and basketball, and as a teenager, an adolescent, I got into weight training. And I subscribed to two muscle magazines, Muscle and Fitness and Flex. And there was a columnist in Flex by the name of Mike Mentzer, who was a world-class bodybuilder, who developed a theory of training to failure based, he claimed, on Ayn Rand's epistemology. Now, I thought Ayn Rand was a man, and I didn't think anything of it, but I thought Mentzer's arguments made some sense, and I guess it stayed in the back of my mind. And so the other thing that's relevant before I get into how I got into Ayn Rand is that when I was a young child, I had a sister born with Down syndrome who died when I was 2 years old, and so mortality has always been more of an issue for me than for most people. Mortality is something that we psychologically repress, and that many of our religious and philosophical systems rationalize away because it's terrifying. So what happened is I had a near-death experience my freshman year in college, right around my 19th birthday, where I took too many marijuana brownies, having not taken them before. And I took one, and it didn't have the effect that I thought it would, so I took another, and didn't quite have the effect I thought it would have. And then, it all hit me at once, and I became completely paralyzed, and I had to go to the hospital. And I remember laying there completely paralyzed, thinking, because of my experience with my younger sister, and the way that it caused my parents to react towards me, that fearfulness that something might happen to me, I always had felt like that there might be something wrong with me, and so I thought that I was gonna die. And when I didn't, and I came out of that, earlier that year of my freshman year in college, my friends had dragged me to a bookstore in La Jolla, because I was at UC San Diego, and I had seen that book by Ayn Rand called Atlas Shrugged that I'd seen mentioned by Mike Mentzer. I picked it off the shelf, and I bought it, and I put it in my room, and I didn't think anything of it until I woke up, and I started to come to that morning around my 19th birthday in April of 1996, and I picked Atlas Shrugged off my shelf for some reason. I started to read it, and I couldn't put it down, and I just read it, and it started to give me a new vision of how I might lead a good life and deal with all the anxiety and insecurities and lack of direction that were my life at that time. And now about 2 hours ago, about 1:50, I hit publish on a blog post that explains my views about why I think the biggest bubble in history that I believe that we are in has now started to pop, starting with last week's market action. So I recommend, if you're not familiar with my work, to check that out at www.topgunfp.com. And so it's almost like coming full circle. It's been the stock market has been my life's work for the last 16 years since I was in philosophy graduate school, and I started to understand that the housing market was in a bubble because Ayn Rand led me to Ludwig von Mises and the Austrian economists and the Austrian theory of the business cycle, monetary policy, et cetera, et cetera. So I saw that, and I decided to start Top Gun in 2006, and I went live in 2007. And I predicted the housing bust, and that it would lead to a nasty recession. And so we started off really well, and Top Gun was very successful. But I didn't anticipate what the Federal Reserve would do and how that would inflate financial markets and prop up lead to the historic bull market over the last 12 years. Since March 9th of 2009, and my returns have been poor, frankly, since that time. We haven't lost money, but we have not kept up even close. No, we've trailed the market significantly. I've lost most of my clients, and it's been really, really tough. But now things are about to turn, and when I hit that button, I realized that I'm there now. This is my time. And it's kind of the culmination of I mean, it's the start of a journey in one sense, because I still have to deliver, but it's also the culmination of 25 years of work that started when I read Ayn Rand about 25 years ago. It usually begins with Ayn Rand.